call the meeting to order. Please stand and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. May I have a motion to approve the minutes of the meeting held March 11th, please?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. And we do have several people wishing to address the board, and they are on agenda topics. There is a limit of 15 minutes for folks in favor, and there's just one person signed up opposed, and that person has 5 minutes. We have 7 folks signed up in favor, which means you each get 2 minutes, unless you want to go back and agree to have 1 or 2 spokespersons so that you have time to give us the input that you would like. If you want the 2 minutes each, we'll certainly go with that. So that will be up to you as we move forward. May I have a motion to approve the agenda, please?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Good news report. Deanne.
Might give away my answer to my question before I even get started here today, but what do you think the most visited page on the Sioux Falls School District website is, or the Sioux Falls School District app? Most visited page.
Lunch menu?
The lunch menu, of course.
Not my bio.
No, sorry, Todd, not your bio. So sorry about that.
That was a good guess, Todd. But,
Yeah. It's a close second. We'll go with that. Well, as parents and community members know, there's a lot of interest in our school lunch menu, our breakfast menu, so it just makes sense that we put a lot of interest in it as well. We're always searching for new foods that meet very strict federal guidelines. Our team is very focused on that. We have to have those items that meet the guidelines, but they also have to taste good. And so last week, for a couple of days, our child nutrition staff did some taste testing, and Joni Davis, our child nutrition supervisor, is here to tell us a little bit more about the purpose of the food fair and then some of the outcomes and some of the variety of foods that were tried over that time.
Hi, thank you for the opportunity to share with you about our vendor conference. This is something we've done for several years here in Sioux Falls, where we have the opportunity to have our vendors who provide us products for the Sioux Falls, for the food service program, come to us. And it gives them a different format where they can come and be in an area where they have our attention and have us all in one place and can share information about the things that they're presenting or giving as ideas for the coming years. I'd like to acknowledge 3 people with me this evening who were very instrumental in that, 2 of them specifically. Sarah Joines, our child nutrition assistant, Mary Jane Richardson, our consulting dietitian, and Sarah being a newly minted dietitian. And then we always have interns that roll through the program, which you may not be aware of. We usually have 5 or 6 in a year. And we have Bailey Larson with us this evening as an intern from SDSU. And she's defending her thesis on Thursday, so. So with that, what I'd like to share with you is that we had another exciting 2 days where we had an opportunity to view what kinds of things were out there. We're always looking at how to change our program, upgrade it, if you will, trend it up, those kinds of things. And so we had a wonderful example and opportunity to do that. In the old days, you'd see a lot of hamburger, pizza, quesadilla, those kinds of things. And that world has really changed as our customers' likes and dislikes have changed also. And so we were very excited to see that this time we had many different items brought to us. We always provide the vendors with a list of things that we're looking for so that we don't ever get just a day of cookies, but try to tell them very clearly what we were looking for. A new hamburger, a new hot dog, a new tortilla shell, a new egg roll. And from that, then they go forward looking at their specifications and formulation statements that they have to see what things they can bring forward to us that we could utilize in our program. So quite honestly, we saw a variety of things. Comfort food's kind of making its way back, and the last thing I thought I would hear is somebody trying to sell me chicken pot pie. But that was something that they're seeing on a national basis, and we had done some things over at New Tech, and surprisingly, those kids in some presentation formats had given us the idea of chicken pot pie. So that was interesting to see that. Otherwise, buffalo anything, buffalo wings, buffalo snack bites, buffalo potatoes, buffalo pizza were other things that were certainly the trend that we noticed. But the cultural and ethnic that we have certainly requested was really exciting for us. We had some pho, we had tamales, we had a variety of things from ramen miso to udon sriracha noodles, plantains, which is really exciting to think that that would be something that we could implement and actually use in our program. And Jamaican beef patties was another thing, an example of things that, how the program has changed and things that they're bringing forward to let us know and experience with our families and students who are joining us with lots of different likes and dislikes. Vegan is something that we're very much aware of, and you may be hearing about New York and their Meatless Monday approach. So we saw some interesting uses of tofu, a tofu that was actually a popcorn chicken knockoff, if that's of interest to you. Plant-based proteins are becoming more available, if you will, in the kinds of things that we're used to, not only just a hamburger patty, but things, again, in the way that we would see them typically on a menu, but only being plant-based. So that was pretty exciting. And taco hummus. So we do hummus right now at the secondary schools as a dip, but the taco was kind of another take on that. Our next phase, after all the evaluation that we've done, so the goal is to sample. You don't have to swallow, but you got to sample to give us an idea of what you think of something. And after that, we do evaluation. So we're in that stretch right now, and then we'll be creating a list of things that we'll bring forward and do taste testing at the sites. Last year, we did some elementary, some middle schools, and high schools, and we would be doing the same thing also. We want to be sure that the team we brought together, our management team, Kids Inc., Early Childhood, SDSU Extension, we're just members. Carly from here, we're all members who popped in at different times and could join us. And so we want to be sure that our customer then is the next person that we take the time to visit with and find out what they and how they rate things that we might be able to put on the menu. So the excitement for us was to know how to correctly eat a tamale. Do you eat the husk or don't you? Well, we found out we didn't. So we were very excited to learn that. What Wow Butter was, and there truly is an already prepared item that's a banana peanut butter sandwich. So see how things have changed. So with that, I certainly want to thank you for your interest in just finding out what we've done, all the kinds of things that we've sampled and tried, but the intent to upgrade our program, to bring in things that are new and different, and keep our kids, our program being one of those that is a true picture of what's going on in our community and across the nation. Any questions?
Sometimes lunch is these students' favorite subject, so thank you for your dedication to making it interesting and varying it for students to keep them eating every day and introducing new ideas every single year. So thank you. That sounds like fun, but it also sounds like a lot of work, too.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you, Joni.
Okay. Thank you.
All right.
President Alberti, can I take a point of privilege? I just looked out in the audience and I saw a student who's here, Gage. Did you just win a district award? And I wanted to acknowledge that for the poetry, maybe? Or so would you just stand up and introduce yourself and say what award you won?
Yeah, hi, I'm Gage Graham. I'm a senior at Lincoln High School, and I won the state poetry out.
Oh, thank you. I just.
Congratulations.
All right. No conflicts of interest to address this evening. May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda, please?
So moved. Second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Supplemental consent agenda, item 9A, 1 and 2. Motion to approve claims to Sanford Health, please.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. And we have 2 abstentions, Board Member Mickelson, Board Member Ryder. And item 9B, approval of claims to Avera.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. That motion carries with 1 abstention from Board Member Parker. And we are on to the reports of the superintendent. First report is junior kindergarten, and we do have, Doug, 1 person wishing to address the board on that. So will Jean Hoff, if you'll give us your name and your address, please.
My name is Jeannie Hoff, and my address is 716 East 7th Street in Del Rapids.
Thank you.
I'm very excited at the prospect of the district offering junior kindergarten. I'm here to express my concern of it only being a half-day program. Research shows that early childhood intervention contributes to the development of children with higher self-esteem and confidence. This directly relates to student achievement and success. Children who complete 1 year of junior kindergarten are more prepared for kindergarten. The expectations of kindergarten continue to become more rigorous. Common Core state standards have contributed to these higher expectations. The developmental stages of a child has not changed, but the educational requirements have changed. Through an all-day, everyday junior kindergarten program, a child can be given the gift of time to strengthen their social readiness and build their core academic skills. Having a full-day program would allow time to explore and learn from enriching and developmentally appropriate activities. The day of learning would not only focus on the academic skills, but would give time for the social, emotional, fine motor, gross motor, speech and language skills, time to focus on the whole child. The children would be immersed in a language-rich environment while learning the routines of school, developing stamina for all-day kindergarten, and building connections with school staff. As stated by teachers from neighboring public schools with an all-day, everyday junior kindergarten, children that have had a full year of junior kindergarten develop more confidence and are the leaders in the next year's kindergarten classrooms. A half-day program has the potential to lock out the at-risk students. A half-day would not allow enough time for the child to grow and develop as needed. The half-day program would not fully prepare them for the rigors of an all-day kindergarten program. This gift of time is not limited to success for kindergarten. It is building success for the child's entire school career. Think ahead to when these students are facing all the middle school challenges. What if we could have given them 1 more year to develop? High school peer pressures, are they leaders or followers? The stress of college, completion of a degree or dropout. This gift of time when they are 5 is life-lasting. Parent testimonials from neighboring public school districts that offer an all-day, everyday junior kindergarten see the value it brings to children. At this year's roundup at those schools, a mother who is a college professor that works with at-risk students in college says they're just not ready if they could have only had 1 more year. Junior kindergarten gives that to those that need it. A father who is a college professor at a different university and a different family shared the same insight. With all the pressures that a child will face in their academic years, giving those an extra year that need it has a benefit that is immeasurable. In the best interest of the whole child is why I ask that you consider an all-day, everyday program. Our district mission is to educate and prepare each student to succeed in a changing world. We owe it to the children to give them the time to succeed in school so that they can succeed in the world. All children are gifted. Some just open their packages sooner than others. So that I just ask that you please consider an all-day program versus a half-day. Thank you.
All right. Go ahead.
Okay, I'll introduce to you, here to deliver our junior kindergarten pilot program report is our Director of Research, Innovation, and Assessment, Doug Morrison.
Good evening. I'm excited to be here to talk to you about our junior kindergarten pilot for this year. So like with all programs that we introduce in a district, we make sure that they're aligned with the strategic plan that the district's been following for the past several years. So you can see there's several areas under District Priority Area 1, Student Outcomes, that would apply to this program, including literacy, particularly in the early years, and differentiating, engaging pathways, and many others. So I think we're right in line with what we're trying to accomplish here. So the first question I always ask is why? So why are we looking at this program? So we know that in many cases, an extra year for some kids is wise. It's what their parents want. Kids may be on the lower end of the age spectrum, or there's other developmental issues or whatever, but another year of support is sometimes a wise thing. We know that students who attend a junior kindergarten program will probably be more adequately prepared to jump into kindergarten. And we know from looking at our enrollment data of the kindergarten cohort that as many as 200 and 250 kids across the district start kindergarten a year after which they are eligible. So their parents choose to hold them back a year for a variety of reasons. And we also know that there's students out there that probably start kindergarten earlier than maybe they should be. But the options are limited, and so they go ahead and start kindergarten. Regionally, nationally, we know there's other pre-K or junior kindergarten programs out there. Certainly we know even within our vicinity here, we know Harrisburg T have programs, and so we're certainly not the first to adopt a program like this. And we also know that an evidence-based program that is connected to the K-5 curriculum will certainly make a better transition. So we know we have pre-K, we have kindergarten, so we think if we can put a blend in there, it'll make a nice transition for some of those kids into kindergarten. So the Students' Day will be focused on oral language development, social to academic language, vocabulary, an element of intentional play, lesson and then play based on the focus of the lesson, early numeracy, strong foundation of quantity to 10. So certainly we know, like I said, we have more than 1,000 kids across the district in our pre-K programs. So we're going to try to blend the two from a curriculum standpoint. So in the pilot, we're going to really look at two different options. So at Susan B. Anthony, we are going to pilot a full day option. So what that will mean is there'll be an academic classroom portion of their day. They can either go morning or afternoon to the actual curriculum-based junior kindergarten program, and then there'll be an extended enrichment period, again, morning or afternoon, so the student will be able to participate in an all-day long setting. And then at Harvey Dunn, we're just going to go with the half-day option, which will be, some parents may like that. They don't need the extended day portion. They just want their child to come in for either a morning or afternoon session. So we think we have two pilot programs going. After the pilot period, we'll kind of look at both and make an assessment and report back to the board from there. So any student that is 5 years old by September 1st is eligible to enroll in the junior kindergarten program. Students will be able to ride their attendance area bus and also participate in the lunch program and the Kids Inc. program. The cost of the staffing, which for the pilot will be 2 classroom teachers, 1.5 extended enrichment staff, and then a curriculum and supplies will be covered by the state aid, as those students will be included in our K through 12 enrollment. And the administrative recommendation would be to approve our junior kindergarten pilot for this fall, and something we haven't done before, but we think there's a demand out there, and so we'll kind of go into the pilot, see what the sign-up is, and then kind of monitor it throughout the first pilot year, and then we'll decide based on the demand and the success of the program. We'll report back to you on the plans for the next school year.
Questions for Mr. Morrison?
Nobody else? Okay, so, because there's some, I think maybe not confusion, but with one site being half and one site being full, is the full day still a free junior for that full day, or is?
So even in both models, I think if you look at the actual junior kindergarten program, the curriculum base and everything, it's a half a day.
Okay.
It's just one of the sites we're offering an extended day,
Okay.
almost like a Kids Inc. program where for parents who need to have their kids covered for a whole day, they would have that option. So we, at least in a pilot, we're looking at there's kindergarten, right, which is full day. There's pre-K. These kids are really of kindergarten age, so our thinking is a half day is probably, at least in our thinking, the rigor that they need. Otherwise, they would be moving into kindergarten, and they still have that option. So if you're looking for a full-day program that's kindergarten-based, then perhaps you still want to send your kid to kindergarten. This is sort of an option for parents who just think that their kids aren't ready for whatever reason. So it kind of eases them into by starting with a half-day program, and then the next year they're ready to go to the full-day kindergarten program. Because if you think about it, our kindergarten cohort, you have a wide range of ages there. You've got the oldest kid and the youngest kid, there could be a year apart, and every child develops at a different rate. And so we just think it's another option for our community. And we know that as many as 250 families out there are electing to not start their student in kindergarten as their age would indicate.
Definitely. I redshirted my now freshman in high school, but because it was an August 7th birthday, so I mean, there's many other reasons of doing that too. How will the students will be first come, first serve who apply for the locations and so forth, or is it more, how will those students be chosen?
Yeah, I think we'll be putting a push out there to, upon your approval of the report, if you so choose, we'll be putting information out there about how to sign up. So you'll be able to contact Harvey Dunn or Susan B., and we'll kind of see how the sign up is from the immediate area, and then certainly our goal is to fill both those classes or both those schools for 2 sessions. So theoretically, we can get, as many as 80 to 100 kids even in this pilot. So we'll kind of weigh that. We'll see, certainly kids that are immediate to that neighborhood, but I'm sure there'll be others that want to go as well. So we'll try to match them up as best we can.
And transportation's parent-driven, they're all.
Yeah, unless they're in that
responsibility.
immediate area. And I'd also add that on the extended day portion for the Kids Inc. type coverage for the remainder of the day, that will be on a sliding scale basis. So if your student happens to be on free or reduced lunch, you'll pay a different rate than somebody on full pay, just like it is today in that program. So we're trying to make it as affordable as we can to everybody and as accessible.
Would that only be also available if there's space available at that school for Kids Inc., or are we adding additional spaces of Kids Inc. spaces at those schools?
Well, this will, so on full day one, there'll be 2 classrooms, so they'll flip. So they'll have enrichment and maybe in the morning and the actual pre-K program in the afternoon, and they'll flip.
Sure.
So we'll have 2 classes at Harvey Dunn, or the other school will have 1 class, and they'll just be there in a half
So
day.
then is the actual Kids Inc., like the 2:50 until 6 o'clock, available for these students as well? Or I think that was my question.
Yeah, I think if there
there's
was
space
room,
available,
a
okay.
space available, yeah.
Okay.
So for, at the Harvey Dunn, where it's a half-day, would the afternoon, the kids that are involved in the afternoon program be able to use Kids Inc. as well?
Yeah, possibly something we can certainly look at. There's space available.
You know, I think this program's great, by the way, and I'm glad we're looking into this. I guess my hope is that it is successful and that we can look at other sites besides these, because I know it's needed at other schools within our district as well. You know, I know space is always an issue, but it would be great to serve some of our other schools as well.
Yeah, I think the
if it's
goal, if
successful.
the demand is there and there's, 200, 250 families that want to partake in this, we'll find the space available if the pilot's successful.
Yeah.
Because it's, at that point, it's something that's a need and demand in the community, so we'll try to fill that as best we can.
Other questions? Doug, do you feel like you've had enough time to get the program designed for a good, viable pilot moving forward?
Yeah, it's something we've kind of kicked around for a couple years, and, it's like with anything, it's priorities and trying to fit it in. I think this year we felt like we had the momentum to move forward, and like I said, I'm confident because we already do pre-K and we do kindergarten. We know those two, we have curriculums in both those areas, and so it's kind of taking from those, knowing what the skill set of those kids are that need to go into kindergarten. So I feel like we have a broad range of experience and expertise in being able to deliver that. So I think, it's been pretty positive across the internally and within the district to roll this out.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? If not, may I have a motion to approve the report on junior kindergarten pilot?
Move, second.
Any further discussion?
Just, I'd ask the district if, as data is collected, if it's proven that full day is more beneficial for our students and families, that we
Yeah,
pursue that
definitely.
at all locations, so.
Okay. No other discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. On to the next report.
Our next report is a report on the dual immersion program. Ann Smith from Curriculum Services will be here to deliver the report. How do you want to handle the?
Well, I think what we will do is we have 7 people who have signed up in favor of the dual immersion program. And if all 7 of them are still wishing to speak, you'll each have about 2 minutes, and Board Member Mickelson has the time clock, so I didn't shuffle these, I just left them in the order that they came. Rosa Lindo Garcia, want to start first? You've got 2 minutes. Yeah,
Hello.
and could you give us your name and your address, please?
Okay, Rosalinda Garcia, 5813 South Mandy Avenue, Sioux Falls 57106.
Okay, thank you.
And the reason that I'm here is because I would like to ask you guys to please approve this program. Is because I would like not only for my kids, but I see that necessity in our population, especially like the age of my daughter, that even though we speak Spanish in our house, it's not enough for them to learn the language. So if you guys can give her, and not only her, it's the opportunity to learn Spanish well. I am a mother, I work outside the house, and I'm a very busy woman. And I would love to teach my daughter more than what I can, but I know I don't have the how can I say, I don't have the preparation, I don't have the wisdom, I don't have those techniques that a Spanish teacher has. So that's why, please, I ask you to vote in favor of that program. Thank you.
Thank you. Avery Garcia, is that right? Sorry, I'm not good with names, I apologize.
It's fine. Hi, I'm Abby Garcia.
Abby, all right.
Yeah. I honestly do love the idea of this. I believe that many students should have an opportunity to learn another language, and for many Hispanic households, there are students that don't get to speak Spanish much because their parents work. Like my mom says, she works. And for me, I have a brother and a little sister. And for my brother, he doesn't understand much Spanish because he has autism. But he does love to try and learn, and also for my little sister. And I feel like many other students want the opportunity to learn. And I feel like it wouldn't just also be an opportunity, but it would be it would be an opportunity, but a huge one for them to get better jobs for the future, and for them to communicate more. It gives them more chances to talk to other people, and it helps a lot for communication. And it will just give them more education about other languages. So yeah.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Monica Conover?
Hi, my name is Monica. I am a mom. I'm from Mexico City. I have 4 kids. My oldest son, he went to the dual program in Austin, Texas, and I know how important it is for myself to have my community here to learn that language. So, and the research said if you are learning your maternal language, will be so easy to learn English. So, and then I want to ask you to check all those research to approve that program, because the second language to speak more in this city is Spanish. The country speak more Spanish in this world is Mexico. So, and the second country is United States. So the thing is to prepare these people, not only the Spanish immersion, we need our people to be able to speak Spanish and English. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Nan Baker.
Well, thank you. What an opportunity it is to get to address you all about the excitement surrounding a dual program.
Nan, can you give us your address? I'm sorry.
Oh, yes. Nan Baker, 1908 East Arrowhead Pass, Sioux Falls, South Dakota.
Thank you.
So from an EL point of view, though research shows that those native Spanish speakers will learn English quicker and deeper if they learn how to read and write in their native language. So we know that a dual program will support them. On the flip side, we have a growing population of non-native speakers that are interested in learning Spanish. And so to think that the two can coexist and help each other in mutual interests is very exciting. And that we're using our local resources here to support interest on both sides. Because we know we have growth and people interested in learning Spanish. We also have more Spanish speakers in the community, so the marriage of the two just works great from a workforce development standpoint, from just a cultural diversity standpoint, and a community standpoint. And then last, from a parent's point of view, we already talked about the demand. We continue to see demand at Sonia Sotomayor for more kids that are non-native speakers to learn the language. We're also seeing an increase in the population of Spanish speakers in Sioux Falls. So we know that the demand exists. And the dual program allows for more access by and large, given that demand on both ends. And then to get really right down to it, from a parent standpoint, to think that we can have our Latino parents get involved in the classroom. I'm a parent. I love to be involved in the classroom with my kids. To think that the resources that they bring to the table have a heightened value in a learning environment is incredibly engaging and enriching from a community standpoint. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Otto Garcia? And could you give us your address also, please?
Yes, hello, my name's Aro Garcia. My address is 5813 South Mandy Avenue here in Sioux Falls. That's my wife, my daughter, and my Bobby's my other daughter. I'm the Latino ambassador for the city of Sioux Falls. We also, with my wife, are both chaplains with the Sioux Falls Sheriff Police Department, and I pastor a church here. I'm a licensed minister in the state of South Dakota. And the reason why I became involved in this right now is because of the importance not to lose our roots. I came to the U.S. at the age of 9, served in the armed forces, and I believe in getting involved with the community. Many of the kids that are coming to the U.S. are losing their identity. They're being absorbed, by the society, and the importance as a Latino is for us, not to lose who we are. My daughter, she was born in the U.S. If you ask her anything about my country, she will not know anything. So that's why I see the importance of the Spanish classes with students, especially with the Latino students, so they will not lose their identity. I believe America is made of many different cultures. That's what makes this country great, and that's why I became involved in the community, because I believe that we as Latinos have to make a good mark in this community. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Pilar Cabrera, if you could give us your address, please, as well.
Hello, my address is 109 North Duluth Avenue.
Thank you.
I'm happy and excited, and I thank you for having gotten us to today, because I think that what we have here in between our hands is an amazing, amazing opportunity. I ask you to please approve this program now. I understand that there are concerns about time and planning, but I have seen as a mother of kids who are in the Spanish immersion program, how that program has developed and is doing wonderful. And I'm sure that not everything was solved when it was about to be launched. So I'm sure that there will be challenges, but I think that you can see that there's a lot of community interest and support, and that those challenges can be met. So please, please approve it. I also want to say that as someone who has spoken Spanish and Hispanic to my kids since they were born, and I've had the pleasure of seeing them attend the Spanish immersion, I am aware of their limitations. Even though the Spanish immersion program here in Sioux Falls is fantastic, their teachers are great. My 10-year-old makes always the same mistakes of grammar, and there's no way I can convince him that it's la silla and not el silla, or la canción and not el canción. Why is that if I tell him all the time, and the teachers tell him? Because he does not have peers that do not make the same mistake. So our kids in the Spanish immersion are a very close community. There's a very close group. They have been growing together, and they repeat the same mistakes. If we have the Spanish immersion become a program where Latinos are entering in middle school or whenever is possible, our kids from the single Spanish immersion would benefit enormously. I see, as a professor of Spanish at Augustana College, students coming that still have basic grammar mistakes. The opportunity of learning along Latino families would take care of that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Letitia Hello, is that?
Say your name.
My name is Leticia Allo.
And address,
And
please.
address 3548 South Gateway Boulevard.
You can pull that
57106.
microphone down a little bit. There you go.
I think that you should be like bilingual, because if you're like a child like me, and when you grow up and like you want to be a teacher for like a different language that's not English, you should study it when you're younger so that you'll know more when you're older. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. And now, Tiffany Waymeyer, if I've pronounced that properly. And could you give us your address, please, Tiffany?
My name is Tiffany Waymeyer, and my address is 5201 South Danbury Drive, here in Sioux Falls.
Okay.
I guess I'd like to say, I'm not sure if I filled out the right card because I'm kind of speaking for some of my other supporters here at Hayward as well. We're not opposed to the dual immersion program. We're just asking for a delay in the program. This weekend, we sent you a letter kind of listing some of our concerns and the questions that we had yet for the program. And that document expressed our hesitation with the timing. And so we would just ask that you please take into consideration those concerns when you're making your decision for the program. I totally agree with all the parents that are here. I think that it would be good for our students. We have many students in our classrooms that are just like the children that are sitting in here today, and that's why we're asking for that delay, because we want the program to be the best that it possibly can for them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, and now we can move on to the report.
Good evening. This evening we are bringing forward a proposed dual immersion program pilot at Hayward and Rosa Parks Elementary School to address and help reduce the achievement gap in our school district. Research conducted in Texas and North Carolina by Dr. Wayne Thomas and Dr. Virginia Collier has shown that when you compared to English learners enrolled in traditional English as a second language programs, English learners enrolled in dual language programs score significantly higher on state tests, experience full gap closure in mastering academic content, achieve English proficiency faster and more completely. And that research also shows that students from low socioeconomic backgrounds who are native English speakers also score higher on tests than similar students in an English-only classroom. All students show better attendance and higher engagement with instruction, according to Collier and Thomas's research. In addition to that, the students are bilingual and biliterate. Currently, 965, or 35% of the English learners in grades K through 5 in the Sioux Falls School District are native Spanish speakers. To serve the native Spanish-speaking English learners more effectively, as well as to increase access to biliteracy for English-speaking students, the Sioux Falls School District would initiate a pilot, which would be a two-way immersion model. Would begin in the fall of 2019 with 2 kindergarten classrooms at each school. Each classroom would consist of at least 35% Spanish-speaking students, with no more than 65% English-speaking students, but the ideal ratio would be 50% Spanish and 50% English students. All subjects would be taught in both languages. One teacher would be a native Spanish speaker or someone with native-like Spanish proficiency. That teacher would teach all subjects in Spanish. One teacher would be an English-speaking teacher, ideally with English as a new language endorsement, and would teach all subjects in English. The students would be with the Spanish teacher 50% of the time and the English teacher 50% of the time. Students living in the Hayward and Rosa Parks attendance areas would have first priority for enrollment. After enrolling interested Hayward and Rosa Parks students, if there are still slots available to fill the class and achieve the targeted ratio, students from other areas could open enroll into the program. If there should turn out to be more students who wish to enroll than there are open slots, there would be a lottery selection to determine enrollment. Each year we would add an additional grade with the goal of having this be a K-12 program, just as our one-way Spanish immersion program is a K-12 program. When students reach middle school, we would envision the 2 programs merging. We would, of course, be carefully tracking and monitoring the Spanish proficiency of both groups of students to ensure that when that merge happens, it's beneficial to all students. The program that we're proposing is very similar to a program currently implemented in the Omaha Public Schools. We had the opportunity to go and visit that program. That program has been in place for 14 years. And their director, Katie Catlett, reports that students in the program are outperforming their peers 77% of the time. In 2017, 565 students graduated from Omaha South High School. The 60 dual language seniors received over half of the $9 million in merit scholarships awarded to South students. So the impact that they're seeing in Omaha is tremendous. The cost for this program would be the cost for a kindergarten classroom set of curriculum materials in Spanish. We already have the kindergarten materials in English because we would use the same curriculum. The curriculum would be the same as the Spanish curriculum would be the same as the curriculum that we use at Sonia Sotomayor. As far as FTE, the cost would not be any different than another classroom because these students would have to be in a classroom anyway, so it's the same ratio of students to teachers that it would be in a regular classroom. With that, I would ask that the board approve the pilot Spanish dual immersion program, and I stand by for questions.
Questions for Ann?
I've asked many, many questions already, so I don't have anything further for questions today.
Okay. Any other questions? All right, then I would like a motion to approve the pilot for Spanish dual immersion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
You know, I have my youngest son is a fifth grader at Sonia Sotomayor, and I think of the opportunities that we have been able to give him, as well as all the other students involved in Spanish immersion, that opportunity to learn a second language and to really understand it. And for me, doing dual immersion gives not just our Spanish-speaking community an opportunity to understand their language, but also to expand the program to other English native speakers to learn another language. So I think it's a great opportunity for our kids, and I think it's something worth pursuing.
Thank you. I would like to say I read the letter that I got from the staff at Hayward. I've read it thoroughly. I understand that there is always concern when there is something new and when there is change. I also have a tremendous amount of confidence after having had meetings with our administrators, having spent time at our work session learning more about the dual immersion program and the work that has gone into this. I have faith in the fact that our administration is very comfortable that they have done their due diligence, that this is the right time to bring this program forward. As Board Member Parker said, we've had the Spanish immersion program in our school district for 10 years or 11 years. This is not brand new from that standpoint. The dual immersion piece, of course, that's new. It's going to be a challenge. But I believe that the time is right. I believe that we need to move forward to be able to do right by as many students as we can in our school district. And, again, I appreciate the concern. I believe that the principals at both the elementaries that are being recommended for this are 100% behind it. They will provide the support that they can provide, and they can go get support that they may not have in the building or expertise themselves. So I am sorry to have to agree to disagree with that letter, but I think now is the right time.
Go ahead. So I don't disagree with anything that anybody here has said tonight. I think that I, too, am very excited about this. Many of you know that I also have two daughters that are currently in the Spanish immersion program here in Sioux Falls. This program has been a gift to my kids, and it's been a gift to my family. We've spent the last 11 years learning, fundraising, celebrating, and enjoying being part of this. I'm excited to see how this path impacts the future of my own kids and their classmates. Immersion works. It works in Sioux Falls. It works in Omaha, Minneapolis, a lot of cities and states around the country, and I believe in it as I've seen it for myself. I'm excited about us being able to offer this opportunity to more students in our community, especially for those families who are native Spanish speakers, who would be served via this new dual immersion model. I am so proud of how Sioux Falls has come in accepting language programs since the first one started 11 years ago. This never happened when we talked about initiating our first program, and I'm very, very proud of our community and how accepting that they have become over the years. My experience with immersion also gives me a unique perspective on language programs. I've spent time in classrooms with my own kids. I've helped new teachers set up their classrooms to welcome their students. I've even visited 8 immersion schools in Minneapolis looking for new materials and resources that our own staff here can use in Sioux Falls to make our programs stronger. I am invested in having quality programs for our kids in this district. So today when we talk about adding dual immersion as a program this fall, I'm excited about all the possibilities that it will bring to Sioux Falls. But I am hesitant to offer my full support to this recommendation. I fully support adding this as an option for our students, but I'm just not convinced that this fall is the right answer. My experience in the early years of the existing Spanish immersion program tells me that there is much value in laying a strong foundation for a new program, a foundation that answers many of the questions that parents, teachers, and the community have about what happens in the next 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. I believe that by waiting until fall of 2020, we could be more intentional about building and documenting that foundation. We can articulate the specific goals of learning and the means and intervals for assessing that learning. We can establish a registration process and timeline that would ensure that we meet the ideal goal of having 50% of each language in each classroom. We could offer information meetings to those families who are interested in learning more and take a closer look at home attendance enrollment versus open enrollment numbers. Perhaps this would give families who are interested in language immersion education a choice between the programs at Sonia and the dual immersion programs that will be offered at other schools. We can update the district website and promotional materials with the specific guidelines, goals, and objectives for the dual immersion program. We can work with community and educate them and inform them of this new exciting opportunity, partnering with Hispanic organizations in our community in Sioux Falls. And most importantly, have teachers and coaches working on creating a strong curriculum guide and lesson plans specific to dual immersion, and allow the teachers to visit other dual immersion sites to see learning in actions. As I said at the work session about 3 weeks ago, this just seems very fast to me, and I want to be able to offer new opportunities to our students, but I also want to ensure that we're doing everything we can to prepare and plan for the success of the program, the teachers, and the students impacted as well. So it is my belief, and I'm only speaking for myself, that we could do a better job of doing that by waiting until the fall of 2020 to implement this program. Again, my family has been very blessed by this opportunity, and I want as many students as possible to be able to participate. I just also want to be able to feel confident that we've looked at some of the nuances that are different between each program and been able to account for those. Thank you.
First, I want to thank everyone that's here today regarding this. It's so great to see involvement, because we have a lot of meetings, we have no one here. So it's exciting to me that there's so much passion, regardless of which side you're on, because you're engaging in what's going on for your children, for your buildings, for your classrooms. So thank you for being here, because I know sometimes it's not hard to get here, and it's putting yourself out there, and that's hard. Change is hard. And I've been asking a lot of questions as well regarding this program, because I do not want our school district to put something out there that we're not ready to do. However, I do feel through our work with Omaha and with what we've had going that we are at the point we can be doing. I've been asking a lot of questions. I feel more comfortable on that. My questions would be more regarding is, hopefully we're in the right buildings. I know there's some concerns of, between Rosa Parks and Hayward and so forth, but I do feel with the students we have in that building, we need to try this there, because I think it's an opportunity for these students. I am going to be, you can be the first person you contact when it's not going right, but I believe in our district. I believe that you are going to keep us honest and that we're doing what we need to do. And you're in our classrooms daily dealing with the children, so please reach out to us if things aren't going right, or your administrators or whomever, so that we can make this the best program for our students.
For me, I know there's some questions about the delay, but when the administrators assure us that the time is now and they're ready, as a board member, I have to trust that. I mean, that's just good boardmanship. And so I feel like we asked the question blatantly, are we ready? And there was an enthusiastic, you bet, this is the time. So I'll be for it.
Any other questions, comments, or discussion? If not, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
All right, motion carries. On to the next report.
The next report for tonight's meeting will be a capital improvement plan update specific to Ben Rifle Middle School. Here to deliver that report is Jeff Kreider. Maybe we should make him.
I'll be doing that in combination with someone else, so.
Jeff, not to take any wind out of your sails, but I'd love to have all of you stay for the rest of the meeting and learn about what we're doing to increase space in the school district to accommodate all of the needs that we have. But feel free to leave if you have something else to do this evening. So if there's a little rustling behind you.
I'll just let them step out.
Legislative wrap-ups after that. Well, maybe that'd make them stay. I didn't know what I was going to do. It's very grateful to me.
I looked over, I'm like, oh.
He's bleeding.
That all
And I was
white
trying to
shirt.
think of
Thank you.
where I'm going to go with it.
I thought for sure they were here for me.
And I knew you'd be
Such a
disappointed.
letdown.
It sure can clear a house.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Okay. We've begun the planning process for the new Ben Rifle Middle School. The board approved hiring Coke Hazard Architects in December 2018 to reuse the current George McGovern Middle School plans with some modifications. The project will construct the school on a 23-acre site on the northwest corner of 41st Street and Faith Avenue, which is east of Veterans Parkway. The facility will be approximately 190,000 square feet and designed for approximately 1,000 students. So over the past several months, Coke Hazard's project team has been working with the district on the school planning. We've toured McGovern Middle School, solicited staff input on likes and dislikes of George McGovern. We asked them the question, how can we improve the plan? We met with city officials on roads, utilities, site concepts, and layouts. We met with adjoining property owners on the Faith Avenue construction plans. We're continuing to do that. We're integrating Memorial Middle School. We're taking the best of both schools. The Memorial Middle School auditorium plans into the George McGovern School plan, and also some additional classrooms for special education. And we're also modifying existing plans to meet the current code. The current code just is in the process now. Actually, the city council just did a final approval of the next code, so we're bringing those into this plan. And so those, Keith will go through that, and on April 1st, we have another meeting set up with that design committee to review all those changes that we were requested to do, and we'll be following up with that. So we're working through that, and I'm amazed how actually going through this high school plan, how close they mirror each other, so that we were ahead of our time when we did those plans. So it's kind of neat to see that and how they parallel. So tonight we have Keith Thompson with Coke Hazard. He'll present the proposed site plans, floor plans, and elevations of the new school. And upon your approval, we'll proceed in the construction document phase, and then we'll go into the bidding phase, which will be late May to June. And our goal is to be under construction here this early summer, and with opening the fall of 2021. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Keith to kind of go through the plans. So Keith, this is Keith Thompson, principal at Coke Hazard, and I'll be here for any questions as well.
Okay. Good evening. Okay. As Jeff said, here's our site plan. 41st Street would be on the south side of the property. We're improving 41st along our property to add the lane that was planned, and then we'll be building Faith Avenue with this project that borders the east side of the property. So as you can see, the site plan is very similar to Memorial Middle School. So we have access off of Faith, and then we're allowed a one-way out onto 41st, so the traffic flow will work pretty well here. And we've also added a special education drop-off on the east side of the school. That'll be kind of a pull-off off of Faith Avenue. Overall floor plan here. I'll touch on the wind shelters that Jeff mentioned. That's the biggest code change that applies to schools. They've changed it a little bit from a full storm shelter, so we don't have to have restrooms and special mechanical requirements. So those are going to be dispersed throughout the school. We'll use the main locker rooms in the gym wing, and then resource rooms that are non-perimeter rooms in that north house, so that they're kind of split between areas of the school, and that'll accommodate the full occupancy of the school. Other little changes that came out of our staff meetings. The easternmost house on first floor will be all dedicated to special education. Previously, it was mostly the suite on the other side of the corridor here. But those rooms will have points, structural points for swings in every room, and allow that flexibility of curriculum. Then the houses closest to the commons on first floor have occasional noise issues, so we'll look at a glass wall so that those can be enclosed, limit some of that noise transfer from the commons in those most proximal houses. Jeff mentioned the north house will be taken from Memorial, so that's a little change from the Govern. And then the auditorium's the larger auditorium from Memorial. The gymnasium and physical education wing is the same. Some other minor modifications. Let's see. We'll look at redoing interior finishes based on the new school colors and integrate some of those accent colors. All the classrooms will be updated for monitors on the teaching wall versus smart boards that the district's transitioning to. And then this building will have all LED lighting. And then we're looking at a little different color scheme here. Just looks like it's kind of washed out. Essentially, it's a little more earth tone than the red of Memorial and closer to McGovern, but just a little different to give the school its own identity. So that's the quick rundown. Any questions?
Any questions on design? Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you, Keith. You'll be seeing some agreements coming from the city where they're asking us to extend 41st Street Lane. So they're going to be crediting us some of the zoning aspects of that in a separate agreement, and then a cost sharing with the adjoining property owners of the church and building Faith Avenue. So those are things that are in the works that you'll be seeing coming forward with that. And we're also on schedule and budget. So with that, we're looking for a recommendation to approve the plans as presented and move forward. So want to make sure we're still on cost task.
Second.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. Discussion.
Looks good.
Looks good. Looks like we have to have faith. That's the street that it's going to be on, so.
I'm glad to see there's more access than Patrick Henry. That's always the bad.
The address will be probably 41st Street when we address the building.
You said on time and under budget, I did see a little smirk on Mr. Veek's face.
All right, any other discussion, questions? If not, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion carries.
Thank you, Jeff. Our last report this evening is the 2019 legislative wrap-up. Here to give that report is Business Manager Todd Beek.
Thank you, Dr. Maher. 2 weeks ago, when we met, the legislature was just a couple of days from ending. I think they got out of there a day earlier to avoid the blizzard that hit basically the entire state. So I'm just going to give a quick update of how we ended up. We tracked 55 bills We supported 19, we opposed 26, and the rest we had a neutral position on. In our bill tracking documents, you know, that you see all throughout the session, we show green bills have died or failed to pass, and blue bills have made it all the way through both houses. So we had 8 key bills, 2 supported, 6 opposed. Of those, 7 died, and the one that passed was actually one that it was key to us to get amended, and it got amended to have on this special education interim legislative committee to have a business manager and a special ed director. Originally in the original bill, they weren't involved. And that I did notice today that did get signed by the governor, so that one's all the way through, and they'll have this committee. So that's where we are. It's kind of almost where we were last time we met. Just one other bill that we track very closely that we don't really write up is the budget bill. So in the budget bill, the official targeted teacher salary increased 2.5%, but the net to school districts is really 1.8 because last year and one of the last days of session, to a 1% increase, they added on a 0.7 one-time money that was essentially funded just like the formula, but it didn't become part of the base. So school districts had 1.7 last year, 0.7 of that went away, and then on the one, they got a 2.5 increase. So essentially, we ended up with basically a 1.8% increase. This is, so I guess officially now we haven't kept up with the 3% inflation, whichever is less. In this iteration of essentially the per pupil formula, which has been around since 2016, it took 3 years. In the old formula, the old per pupil formula, which essentially started in 97, they made it to 2010 without not doing the 3% inflation, whichever is less. So we're 10 years ahead of schedule, I guess, unfortunately. Just for some comparison, the targeted teacher salary in the general bill is up 2.5%. The total state aid funding, because we have growth in students, is 3.2%. The Medicaid agency, what I call the Medicaid agencies, DSS and DHS, their budget grew 4.4%, and that's roughly 2/3 of state government. And then all the rest of state government, which is about another third, that grew 7.3%. Since we're ahead of schedule today. So this is our, I know it's the group, well, Dr. Maher was on it, so he can speak to it. The group that, the Blue Ribbon Task Force that recommended the changes in the state aid formula and the half-cent increase, and the state agencies and the legislators all didn't want to get to a point like that where we had to do something like that again. So tried to kind of keep track of what's going on with this. And you all know 80% of our non-federal general fund revenue comes to us from the state aid formula. And 80%, and this is all schools, we're higher than that. We're closer to 90%. And 80% of all schools' salaries and benefits in the general fund is salaries and benefits of their expenses. So you kind of, if you want salaries to go up 2.5% or 3% a year, that's pretty much what you got to get or give, because that's, if 80% of your expenditures are going up faster than 80% of your revenues, you're going to be in trouble in a hurry. So I kind of decided, and they have a group that meets on this kind of every year, but I think they look at it every 3 years to see if we're keeping up and what can we do about it. Well, started trying to stay ahead of the pace here, and we'll just show them our annual legislative report. State aid is 33.1% of the budget in FY17. The first year of this, it still is 33.1. I will say there's a little anomaly in there because they were also doing property tax relief in FY17, which is funded through the state aid formula. So because you don't want to do too much, and the first half of your property tax relief year is the second half of the fiscal year, you don't want to get to that number right away. So you would have expected a little bit of growth. So it actually did go up to 34 and some odd % the next year and down to 33. But we're right where we were when this started. The Medicaid agencies have actually shrunk a little bit as a % of the budget, and the rest of state government is slightly up. So that's a little bit, that's basically what we looked at last slide. And that's how it's been since FY17 through budgeted FY20. The budgeted increase since FY17, the targeted teacher salary is up 1.26% on average per year. That's a cumulative amount of 3.8. Looking at the state personal services per FTE line, they're up 2.64% per year, and it doesn't seem like a ton of difference between the two, but over 3 years, they're up 8.1% versus 3.8. Now, on these two lines, when we get a few more years under our belt, we'll be able to look back and look at actuals, which is better than looking at budgeted numbers, but that's what we have right now. So that's kind of where we're at, and kind of plan to track this as we go forward to see what's happening with teacher salaries and why. So with that, unless Dr. Maher has anything to add from the Blue Ribbon Task Force, I'd just ask for your approval of the report.
Very good. Can I have a motion to approve the report?
So moved. Second.
All right, discussion? I'm just going to ask my question one more time. The tax relief that we're going to get when the online sales tax dollars start to just roll in unbelievable numbers, and that 0.5% sales tax starts to go down for every $20 million of sales tax that we get. Are they going to figure out some way to make sure schools continue to get that?
That's rhetorical for us, Mr. Veek.
I just need to go on record to ask it one more time. Nobody's been able to answer it yet. So, all right, any other discussion? Hearing none, we have a motion and second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Anything else to come before the board? If not, could I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
We are adjourned. Thank you all.
No, thanks.
I want to make sure you didn't just borrow it.
Good luck meeting.